while we wait for him to show up, I can go ahead and do some math here. And by math, I mean just real quick, get an updated version of the CSV file, get it sorted here. And all right. Stormcaller. That's not Paul. Bye, re-rolling ones. Yeah, goodbye. Thank you so much. Here, where was I? Who this? Yep. Get into Arcane Sanctuary, and I can drag you in. Boom. There we go. All right.
There we go.
Good tweet.
There we go.
Paul's here. From the Immortal Realms. I'm just getting this giveaway sorted real quick. Man, folks are not had. Where? Oh, what happened? Had him, lost him. Are you back? Are you ready?
Back.
I am back.
Cool. All right. Feel free to talk about whatever you want. Keep the Fraggle Rock keep the Fraggle Rock chat rocking if you need to.
Yeah, Jim Henson is totally my boy, so like I'm absolutely on board for anything to do with the Muppets or Jim Henson or any of that stuff. I mean, Fraggle Rock, and the producers were the bomb. They're straight up Dwarden. I mean, there is none. They wear little hard hats. They're short little dudes that just quarry everything and build the crap out of everything.
This logic is impeccable.
Wow,
All right.
like so your original goal was $1,000.
Yeah.
Remember this?
Yeah, I remember that. I was a fool.
And I looked at it and I was like, I don't know if $1,000 is high enough. I feel like we're gonna get higher here.
I don't know. It's the momentum slowed like I knew it would off the initial push. It's just the initial push was insane compared to, what I expected. So this is of course the KO giveaway. I have to get rid of the duplicates here. Look at all those. This is what I love to see. So this last block went a lot better than the Warhammer block and the first block. I can see it's actually tagged all the rerolling ones numbers, so I've got all those
Nice.
perfectly. Screen out the doubles.
There we go. All right.
Bringing in the sunlight.
That's a fail. Let's try that. Boom. There we go. That'll be good enough. Oh,
Unbelievable!
man, it's a hot day. Where you are? Because I'm pretty sure it's a hot day where you are.
Yeah, I'm only like an hour and a half like diagonal from you, so it's still hot here. We do have the lake effect though, because I'm right on Lake Michigan. But it's spicy.
I literally was like 20 minutes from you yesterday, and I contemplated driving to Sheboygan and just tooling around to see if I could find the down of Sheboygan utility truck and ambush you. But then I decided that would be super creepy, and I probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah, perhaps not. So here we go. Highlight that.
Yeah, no, I've been listening to your podcast on Anchor.
Really?
The company, some good stuff.
Oh, thank you.
I was listening to Razor Tree, and like just noticing how consistent this theme of mental health has been pretty much all of your podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty amazing to have as much money as you do and like have this awesome awareness. So like, huge congratulations for pushing through and getting all this set up and working. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was the support. I mean, I truly couldn't have done this without the support. 13 rolls. Winner of the KO.
Nice.
All right.
Congratulations, 13 rolls.
All right.
KO winner.
All right. So, if you had a Fraggle name, what would your Fraggle name be, Meth?
It'd probably be very similar to my Wu-Tang name. Like my name.
Yeah?
Yeah, my Wu-Tang.
We need
name.
a
Sorry, I'm getting a little bit of reverb from you. It's
okay.
My Wu-Tang Clan name, by the way, is Educator Savage. So, it would probably be like I'd imagine it then would become like Cater Savage or something like that. Would be my Fraggle Rock name. What would your Fraggle Rock name be?
Man, I don't know. Man, come on.
You can't ask the question and not have one on deck for yourself.
Oh no, my computer just like completely shifted me to a different page again. So, I mean, I totally can ask you what your name would be and not have one prepared. It's just not very professional, but you know that's pretty standard for me. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd probably be a dude. I had a lot of fun just building a lot of little junk, and like, there's no accountability there. There was like, I think there was a couple times where like their buildings fell down and all that kind of stuff. So like, there's no building code. Literally just throw up stuff and don't say anything and walk away. I mean, that sounds like a pretty sweet job to me.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. So it is the beginning of the Wisco block. I have like two things I'm supposed to do here. I think I'm supposed to shave this goatee off. And I don't know. But before I get to that, so I will be shaving that off live because I do happen to have clippers. So I've been like saying goodbye for like the last several blocks. I can't go as hard as I would drinking normally with a Wisconsin themed event because I really do need to stay up for 27
Of course
hours.
not.
But I will have a beverage with my guest here. I saw that you've got one there, so I will bust out. Potosi Cave Ale, which is one of my favorite Wisconsin beers. It's seasonal. It only comes out like kind of at the tail end
From
of
just
summer.
down the road.
It's delicious. It is like if cream soda were a beer. Not to say it tastes like not that it's like it tastes like alcoholic cream soda or anything along those lines. It's just it's got this it's beer and it's full flavored and like but kind of like light and like malty. It's so good. It's so refreshing. And I don't often say refreshing about beer because I love stouts. And it's like 5.5 ABV. So like it's not as on some of those IPAs, but it'll get you drunk. ask Jacob Berry. It got him swifty at at Brew City Brawl when I gave him a 6-pack. Actually, he was already gone by the time I handed him the 6-pack.
The number of things that make Jacob Berry swifty is a long, long list and has been far misremembered more often than remembered correctly.
Right. But I like to think that I contributed to it just a little bit. One of my highlights is still.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Pepsi Milk right now. No, Pepsi Milk's on deck right now.
Oh.
Or was I supposed to say? No, I'm supposed to save that for Brendan Melnick. So I'll shave my goatee with you, and then I think Brendan's up after you guys. So Pepsi Milk.
He thinks it's disgusting. So absolutely, I would definitely prefer that you make Brendan uncomfortable during his block.
All right, perfect. Yeah, yeah. Pepsi Milk is cubic shenanigans. Thank you, Chat Gang. You always got my back. Pepsi Milk will be cubic shenanigans. I'm gonna go grab some clippers real quick, but I gotta announce the prize for this block. So this block is actually the Nurgle lot. I think I know that one off of memory. Did I? Don't quote me just yet. Um, should be the Nurgle block. Dashboard. I got it on my dashboard. Why did I leave my dashboard to begin with?
Cool.
Yep.
I mean, the support from the community for you as well has been pretty awesome with all this stuff to give away. It's just a little bit of mind blowing. It's when you were like, "Oh, $1,000," I was like, "I think you're really gonna have a lot more support than just $1,000." And look at all these people who literally just gave of themselves for like this awesome and amazing charity, of course, right?
Yeah. So the Nurgle lot is these two prizes both were provided by the Mortarks of Meth. Actually, GDad here in chat, you'll see him off and on. He actually donated both the KO and the Nurgle when I had a different vision in mind. But that beginning like outcry or not outcry, but that beginning like support just it just shifted the entire dynamic of what this is now. And so when I say that Chat Gang made this happen, that it started as a joke from them with the New Year's stream, when I say that you, the community, made this happen, I mean it with all gravity and sincerity. That this doesn't happen without the support I've received, that without the push I've received, without the just like sort of like comforting hands on the back saying, hey, you got this, man. Like even people sharing in the jokes about the tattoos and just becoming part of that whole, which you were in on that with the Mad Max raid now that we're going to do of Chuck Moore's little backyard thing, like all those little things.
I mean, that sounds amazing. Like like I said, I did a road trip like that in college, and it was one of the best things I've ever done. So, absolutely.
Yeah. So the Nurgle lot, you can actually see this above my shoulder. It's two feculent Gnarlmaws. It's two of the Start Collectings. One of them being, the Maggotkin of Nurgle, and the other one being Daemons of Nurgle, which I've been told by Paul Conti is your summoning board, basically. That's what that is. It's everything you'd be summoning. It's got two heroes, and then it's got the two feculent Gnarlmaws, and not pictured, because all that stuff is new in box. And then just like, I believe it's 10 Plague Bearers partially assembled. So those are not new in box, but all this stuff is. And then the Maggotkin and Nurgle Battle Tomes. So that's a really sweet lot for getting yourself going. This would have been the grand prize of this thing. But as you've seen, I didn't anticipate the will of Chat Gang, that it would be so mighty. This is like I went into I went into the Force duel, like where you're just like pushing the Force, and I was not prepared. Like I just got blown out the window, and and now I'm all like withered, and like Chat Gang shouted unlimited power at me, so yeah. So that's remember donation.
Well, Wisconsin.
Minimum donation of $5.
Sorry, go ahead.
Be sure to click the donate link down below that says donate. You just click on donate. Also, Incantibot's been spamming the incentives. You can just type ! Incentives. Will pull up that MHA link through Tiltify. Why I want you to use this is if you Tiltify, then make sure your money just goes directly to MHA. It never touches my personal accounts. You know where it's going, where it needs to go. There's no weird tax things that have to happen on my end either, because if you donate to me, then it becomes income, and I have to declare that, and then I have to. So use the Tiltify link, please. So use that Tiltify link. When you're donating that $5, you will see that you have a reward that you get to select. The only reward that will be unlocked is the Nurgle box right now for these next 2 hours. There is, of course, the OBR thing, which is unlocked, but that's just for those people that I opened the donations up early. I said you're not, if you want to donate just towards the OBR, you don't care about anything else. That was opened up, that was unlocked, so you'd have to donate $25. You will automatically be entered to win the OBR if you donated a minimum of $25 throughout this whole thing. So you don't need to worry about clicking the OBR link. Click on that reward selection. Select that Nurgle thing, and that way you save me more and more time every time you do that, because then it sorts my my number or my document, the CVS file, CSV file appropriately, and it makes drawing the RNG and doing the raffle a lot easier for me. So, so yeah, no, go ahead. You were hanging on to a thought there. That's the technical
Yeah.
stuff, and of course,
So
no, you're good.
Oh, no, you're good.
So Wisconsin has a long history of donating money to charity, and like pretty much every tournament that I've gone to in Wisconsin has had a charity raffle or just a charity donation. I mean, we've done everything from roller derby to we did, um, Brew City Bash, where specifically we're talking about mental health here, where Bryce had his giveaway, the whole table of terrain. I know there's a tournament in Madison that raised a ton of money for Toys for Tots. I mean, it's just kind of a thing here in the Midwest, and it's awesome to see that continued, even though we can't have events. Awesome to see people literally throwing money at something to really make a point about how important this is, how important mental health, important, especially in the quarantine, where everything is not normal. It's nice to see something that this might sound weird, but like to see something normal. You see amazing Warhammer players donating of themselves in order to help the community. That's something that has always been a part of the hobby and a part of our community here in the Midwest. And it's amazing to see that continue even during lockdown. So awesome. Thanks for putting this on and for putting all the effort in.
Yeah, thank you. And just to the Bryce thing, it's not my story to tell, so I won't. Maybe Bryce can talk about it a little bit because the Basement of Death, the Plan and Slaying crew will be on later on tonight as part of the Wisco block. No cheddar here, just content.
Oh, it's better than cheddar. That's what we got here.
Yeah, that's right. His story helped inspire me to take, like, I didn't have a platform back then, but it inspired me. It was all part of my process of like validating that visibility was worthy, that seeing the reception that he received there and stuff like that. It's like I'm committing to this. Like, I don't need to be insecure, because there is a insecurity about being visible with your mental health, with being vulnerable about your mental health, that you're going to get people who just go, ugh, you're throwing a pity party again, and like unfollow you on Twitter, or like they hate you now because you're just that mopey guy, or whatever characterization they have for you. And that fear early on that, like, if I talk about this, people are going to think I'm a pansy and that I'm, I'm somehow lesser. And I had to get over that, because I tend to use like self-deprecation as like a defense mechanism, so that like I can be like, I have really bad insomnia. Like, you make it more of a joke, then you don't like have to be like, hey, actually, like, I seriously struggle with this. You never get me at 100% whenever you meet me. Like, you don't get a fully rested, fully coherent.
I mean,
And
but ignoring it is so much worse
yeah,
than dealing with it and confronting it, right?
yeah.
Recognizing it, labeling it, and being able to use it as an understanding for what's going on. It really is something where it's really easy to hide if you try a little bit, but it doesn't mean the injury is not there. It's not like you broke a leg. Right? You can't really hide it when you break a leg, because everybody can see that you're not walking right.
Right.
But if you're dealing with depression, if you're dealing with anxiety, if you're dealing with insomnia, if you're dealing with all these different mental health issues, you can pretend like it's all okay, right? I mean, like, so a little bit of history for myself. I've dealt with depression before in my life as a younger child. We moved from Portland, Oregon, to Wisconsin. We moved to a little small town, and I was literally the only person not born in the state from the town. I was the only person who was not related to somebody else in the family, and I was 8 when we moved. I had a really hard time with that. I definitely suffering from depression. There was a little bit of self-harm going on in middle school. And so this is something I'm definitely passionate about as well. You can't just ignore what's going on. You need to be able to confront it, especially when you make it to a point where you're an adult and you're teaching your children, you're teaching other people about how to deal with these issues, right? You can't ignore them and make them go away, especially if you have children. You need to be able to teach them that this is a real thing that they need to deal with and they need to understand. And when you're with your children, it's also a lot harder for you because you're confronted with your mistakes over and over. As I was listening to the Razor Tree episode, you said your children are like little mirrors, and absolutely correct. Right? Your children are little mirrors, and they show you your problems to your face, and you have to confront them. And as hard as it is to see blunt instruction in what your faults are, at the same time, it's one of the best lessons you could ever have because it allows you to be forced to recognize them. And forcing yourself to recognizing them is the first step in being able to deal with them and understand how to overcome them. Right? And it's not necessarily about you being able to fix everything. People need help, right? You break your leg, you need help. When I was 25, I had a herniated disc. I needed surgery, right? And it was one of the hardest things for me because the weird thing about a herniated disc is it's a disc in your back that's pushing on your spinal cord. And it tells you that your leg is broken. If you had enough mental willpower, theoretically, you could tell yourself that, no, my leg is not broken. It just feels like it's broken. You could deal with it. And there's physical therapy that you can do to go through it, right? And condition your body and build up those muscles to be able to make you stand up straight in order to straighten out your spinal column and take the pressure off of it so that you don't feel like your leg is broken. At the end of the day, ignoring that was a far worse problem than dealing with it, confronting it, and labeling it. Because if you don't deal with it, you're just going to be sitting there feeling broken. And feeling broken is not a fun place for anybody to be, or a fun place for you to decide that this is where I am now and this is all I'm going to be limited to. Because every person has the power to be able to harness their own abilities, their own unique talents. Nobody else can do that. And while it might seem like it's something that, somebody else can paint better than I can, somebody else can convert a better list, etc., right? Like, it's not about who's the best. It's about who's there and who you can affect. If you're not there to affect those people, that's a whole lot worse than being somebody who's not perfect, right? Your imperfect self is a lot more valuable to the community than a perfect individual that doesn't relate to it. So mental health is probably the worst issue facing our society right now, and absolutely something we need to deal with. Give money to, fund research, and really push that forward and allow it to take away some of that stigma and be able to talk about it and be able to help other people to deal with their own mental health, because we all need each other to do that.
That was awesome, man. All right, everybody. I'll be here 27 more hours, but we're done. Mental health is solved. Like we're Paul has he's figured it out. He's said anything any of us could ever say. The rest of it, he has won. He has won at the mental health rantcast game. I now have to choose a new platform and identity going forward, because mental health visibility.
Hey, Chuck.
Hey! Oh, mental health.
How's it going, Chuck?
Mental health is fixed. That is great.
Yeah. How's it going?
Yeah,
like you're just here to talk, right? Like and just hang out. Like you felt left out of the conversation, and
I'm just literally just sitting here building this Daughters of Cain table all day, and I'm just like waiting for like the perfect time to just jump in and just make you do some burpees. How about 10 burpees right now?
What's a burpee? Is the one where you go down.
You go down, do a push up, then you come up and you jump, and then you go down, do push up.
Like a jumping jack, or
not a full jumping jack, but just kind of get your feet off the ground.
Okay.
Man. All right. Is Meth doing this? All right. I got some space. I can do this.
There you go.
Oh my. Okay, hang
right.
on. So it's a push up and then just a jump.
I already stood up now. You gotta stand up now.
All right.
Yep, push up and jump.
All right. I gotta mute this and do the thing.
Oh, mute. Oh boy. Is this enough, guys? Do you want him to do more?
Is it better without it muted? You might get some reverb.
2 and 10. That's about all I got right now. It's been a hot day.
Oh, Paul, you doing it is just bonus.
10 of these.
You're technically exempt,
All right.
but we appreciate it.
Do you understand how
I'm mentally supporting Meth here.
Go ahead.
All right.
There's one. 2. That's a good one. There you go. 3.
Oh, Jesus.
High quality content I came here to see.
I hate you so
Man,
much,
I actually
Heywoah.
good. I'm glad you hate me. You'll love me later.
I don't even
We'll work on the push-ups later. No worry. There's gonna be a set of just push-ups coming up. I can't wait. I have I think a whole table worth of Daughters of Cain themed terrain, and I can't wait to. Well, I mean, it's not painted, but
You're a
put it on a
monster.
table and just see what it looks like. What if Meth gets hurt midstream due to fitness breaks by Chuck? Then I guess I take over the stream till he heals.
Yeah.
Oh
Who
man,
invented that? Who did that?
You can't feel tired now after a burpee. You're awake. Blood's flowing.
Jack, 1 second.
What if Meth gets hurt midstream due to the fitness breaks by Chuck?
Good shout out. Make sure you guys hydrate.
I've got
After you kind of...
dual wielding here. I lost my Wolverine one, but
Oh, nice.
so
Drink
all of
some
them.
milk. No, don't drink milk. Don't drink milk after working out. Don't ever. Just yeah. There you go. There's hydrate.
All right. So real quick, we had some donations come through. Those are hard. Who?
They are.
You think this is fun? You think that's fun?
That was like quarter of a warm up. I mean, by the end of this 27-hour stream, you will have done one CrossFit workout. That's what this will probably.
Is that what you're doing to me? You're.
What
about just,
slowly?
What about just like jumping jacks?
But
not
you
hardcore
jump
enough.
during a burpee.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
you're right.
no.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Not.
I'll let get back to you guys. Get those donations going. I'm loving watching this stream. You're doing a great job.
Yeah. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much.
See you, Chuck.
Ganked by Chuck. Where were we? Okay. A bunch of donations rolled in. Thank you so much for all these. I have been slacking.
You got the serious stuff out of the way, right?
You were giving that speech, and I didn't want to cut it off.
Yeah, no. I wanted to get it in there. It's important what you're doing it for, and it's now. If you wouldn't mind, I'd love to talk to me about some anvil of apotheosis.
Oh, we're gonna do that today. Okay. AOA.
Would love to.
Still getting a bit of reverb on your end, buddy.
Um,
All right. Where was I?
Let me go grab headphones. I'll be right
back. Imitation cheese. Well, that I can still hear me. Here we go. We'll just do it this way. So we had why isn't this working? We'll grab this.
better?
Yep. So we had
Cool.
some donations come in since we started doing this.
Nice.
Trying to find this here.
No worries. All right. I love to start talking about anvil of apotheosis. I'm so passionate about this specific thing, right? Because it's really kind of built to be this narrative character builder, narrative monster builder.
All right, I found them. I found the donations. So
Sweet.
Drew Peterson was one of the last ones I left off on. Said, "I'll just donate one more time. Mental health is so important. Meth, you're the man." Then we had ODT followed. Aaron Sutton with $5. Brandon Terra, imitation cheese, both $5. Thank you so much for that. Shu, I wonder who that is. $20. Jihen with $5. Anonymous again. This anonymous person is prolific. Must have deep pockets.
He really wants you to say his name.
Yeah, that's what it is. Beamer91, $10. Thank you so much. Brian K88, hashtag free Petrifex. Hashtag free Petrifex Elite. Petrifex, no, hang on. Deserved everything it got. I am under no way financially obligated to say this. uh, Jihin again.
Don't feel
With
like you're being completely honest.
I'm working up to it. Okay, it's $1,000. It was $1,000. It was a stretch goal. It was the original stretch goal for a reason. Okay.
I saw it. Yeah.
Like
That's why I'm forcing it. I mean, people paid money.
yeah, they paid money to hear me rant against the army I love. I gotta store it up, you know.
Rage Against the Own Machine.
That's right. Rage Against My Own Machine. Alex Milona is $5. Kyle from the Pants Mafia, all popping off with $5 donations. Thank you so much. Jarl Flaman, $5 again. Andy Gray, $5. A lot of people getting signed up for these sick. Go ahead. Sorry, you were saying?
Pants Mafia really needs to be saving money for that sweet, sweet RV.
That's what it is. Yeah, you got to get the RV, Pants
I
Mafia.
think it's genuinely one of the best things I've ever had. Oh, yeah.
Andy Gray, thank you so much. Drew
So
Peterson.
the whole deal is.
JC Cleve, hang on 1 second. Jay Cleve, Shawing, $5. Shawing. Orux are the best. Donates $5 and says, how did he and how long did it take Paul to come up with that MBMK spider? It's amazing. And you can answer that in just a second.
Thank you.
Chaos Wargaming, $5. Hypno Kraken. Oh, it's like the Hypnotoad. Except it's a Kraken. That's way more terrifying. $10. Thank you so much. Anonymous again. Crazy Horse. I need all the goodies, and good causes are a great reason to donate. Yes, they are. Brendan Melnick, who's still gaming the system. Please nerf the 65 meta. Sajil, $5, especially now. Many people need this. Ross Polly, make sure to hydrate. Cheers. Joe coming in with $20 donation. Avian, see, this is what happens when I miss them all. Avian Matter, $5. Professor Xavier, you're killing it today. Congrats. Thank you so much, Professor. Maurizio Panzone, greetings from Italy, guys. What you are doing is amazing. Keep it going.
Nice.
Anonymous again. Bryce Scholes, double up the donations for the Wisco block. Paul, you're looking jacked. I got to get on this Strength Hammer workout plan. You know, you too can get on the Strength Hammer workout plan. You just, like, be here. Apparently I'm getting CrossFit today. He's right, though. You do look swole. I'm like...
No, Chuck...
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Chuck definitely lays it out. I mean, this is what Chuck does, even when he's not in person. He literally lays it out here. So, again, a great community really helped to support mental health and fitness as well. So, get on it.
Yeah, you help hold each other accountable, which is a lot better than some overlording voice trying to hold you accountable, you know? Like when it's peers helping you out. I think there's something really substantial in that. Dusk, $5. Thank you so much. Dr. Nick True coming through with $5. Night Ogre, Davis MMA, all with both with $5. Paul Conti in the house. He wants more Nurgle for the collection. Just Fireball. I like it. Just Fireball is like a good D&D mythos to prescribe to. So just Fireball. Solve all the problems with Fireball. Piotr back in here for $5. Vanilla Sauce, another $5. Plague masks on, folks. That's right. Put your plague masks on. And then Grey Walker actually is the original subscriber to Mr. Mephisto. If you want to know how long I've been an affiliate for, it is 34 months. Because that's how long he's been subscribing. 34 months in a row. Thank you so much. Guten Tag, Internet friends, he says. So good resub there. Of course, all the subs and stuff like that, I'm going to be paying that forward to as well. JPick, keep up the great work. Zihin again, $5. Caesar, 13 rolls. Pro tip, you can take screeners for a large assortment of mental health issues on Mental Health America's website. If you're not sure what you're feeling, start there. Also, I'm shocked. I never win anything. KO, here we come.
They're awesome.
Yeah. No, they're cool and they got better. So, unlike unlike Ossiarch Bone Reapers, the grand prize, which got exactly nerfed the perfect way they deserved, which was 2 Petrifex Elite, which they deserved. Am I?
This is your first battle tome. Your first battle tome comes out, you think it's awesome, and then it gets nerfed. Just ask Tom. And your second battle tome, you totally redeem yourself.
You totally redeem yourself. My first was LON though for Age of Sigmar. It was GA LON. LON did dirty last year. I'm still salty about it. That's not an incentive. I will never let that go. W. Soren, the Mad Lad himself, whose name should be stitched in my chair here, $5. John Cleve, 25. Paul, thank you for donating, buddy. Shanti Miniatures has donated. Keep on going, Maf. Greetings from Sweden. Oh, like, hello, Sweden. Cool. Awesome. I knew I was big in France, but I didn't know people knew who I was in Sweden. And then Ty showing back up, 1008. The 92 cents was bugging me. Mask up to avoid for avoiding Nurgle's plague. Paul is looking like the healthiest of the Mortal Realms crew.
I mean, Davey is just ripped, so I don't think I could ever take that title from him, but I appreciate it, Ty.
All right, man. I've cut you off like 3 or 4 times. First off, they want to know how you came up with the idea for the awesome Spoder. And while you do that, and then you have your own next take, I'm going to use the restroom and grab a beverage.
Sounds great. So the KO Spider, I actually started my KO army 3 years ago for Adepticon. It was just a fun idea. They had mentioned in the background you've got these drop bag scuttlers. So I really like the idea of doing goblins on airships. And so I decided to kind of do some thinking about the wordplay and what I wanted them to look like. In my head, what they were really just Grots who had taken over the KO ships. I don't really see Grots as people, or humanoids, should I say, that really have the capability of designing this massive engineering exercise. And a good basis for a conversion. And the scuttlers part, I know it's definitely a term that they've used for pirates before, but it's something that I thought would be a fun idea to make present on the tabletop. And so I did some bit shopping, and I found the legs from the Triarch Stalker, and I started off with a couple gun haulers and just started throwing some legs on there. I used my Dremel to use a round bit to make a little junction to be able to glue them together. So my gun haulers all have 4 of the smaller Triarch legs. And then I also ended up getting a frigate. So I put 6 of the smaller legs on there. And I was doing this during the Malign Portents idea. And so my narrative is that they actually have one of the prophets for the Grots. So he's got the mushroom on his head, etc. I actually made him out of the Ether Navigator and then did some bit swaps to have him with the mushroom head and to have that awesome staff with the little caterpillar on there. And I decided that what happened with my army is that he would just blow out some of these mushroom spores and they would catch fire inside the engines themselves. And it wasn't enough power to make them fly, but it was enough power to be able to make them move, give them a little bit of motive force. And so my whole army is actually converted. I have 3 gun haulers. I've got a frigate. I just finished converting my ironclad with 6 of the larger legs. And I had a 4th gun hauler and was unconvinced that I wanted to use it. So this was obviously pre-GHB. But once I had it in my possession, I had already kind of solidified the idea of using the Endrins to do the spider body, and then adding on 6 of those legs to really just kind of give it the look of the spider. And then I was going to actually cut off a ton of little tiny bits on the front to give it more of an actual spider face. But once I had assembled it with a smaller engine off the back of the gun hauler facing forward, it gave this lopsided eye because of the 2 bubbles that are on the engine itself. And I just really like the look of that for the head. put a couple of legs on the back of the head and then 4 of the legs on the body, but it just didn't quite look right. So I ended up switching them around. And once I had actually done that, then I looked at it and I had already had this idea in my head, and then Anvil of Apotheosis came out. And that was just an amazing reference material, starting point, inspiration to really figure out what it is that makes this spider work and what it's going to do on the tabletop, which is a lot of what I really, really enjoy about the Anvil of Apotheosis, is that it just comes down to, it really allows you to take your narrative and make your own model. And originally, I was just going to convert this little mechanical spider because I thought it was a cool idea. And I had this in my head that it would be fun to be able to do it, but then once I ended up getting the GHB, being able to actually focus my attention on, oh, this is supposed to be the claws and this is supposed to be the jaws. All right, so the legs for me definitely work as the claws. The underslung cannons definitely work for the jaws for me, to give that kind of that just immense power to push back, and then having a figure on top really kind of solidified the idea in my head, because it allowed me to do more of a mount plus character idea as opposed to a ship, which is something that I thought, because all the other the KO conversions I had done just used the ship as it was. And because it's supposed to be a character on a mount, I didn't have to sacrifice any of my idea of what the spider was going to look like, because I could just anchor the character on top using chains and make it look like a spider rider. And it really allowed me to just get it to a place where I was happy and then not mess with it, which was amazing, because I was just super concerned that I was going to get it to a place and then just go too far and just have a picture of what I would like it to look like. So I would absolutely credit the Anvil of Apotheosis and all those options for being able to really allow me to focus my attention on where I wanted the conversion to shine and what I wanted it to represent on the table. So the idea did come somewhere from my brain of just looking at it, being like, oh, we got the large engine and the small engine. That looks like a spider body. Got these extra legs. But then the Anvil of Apotheosis really gave me the material to be able to make it look the way I wanted to look at, and then also be able to use them on the tabletop. So I really couldn't ask for anything more.
All right. Talking about the spoder and how AOA fed into that a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah.
My favorite word in the
Give
English...
me some direction.
Oh, good. Go ahead. Give you some direction.
That is all.
My favorite word in the English language, everyone. No, not and. Ampersand. There you go. It's right up there.
It only means one thing.
It only
Why
means
you
one
love
thing.
it.
Yeah, I love it. Like genuflect pretty much only means one thing. Like genuflect is to prostrate in respect, you often before royalty, right? Like it's that's very specific gesture. Genuflecting. There's a fan indie game made. It was one of those when Flash games were like really, really big. We're talking like the E-Bombs World days, right? There was
E-Bombs World.
Yeah, there was a game called Genuflect, and it was just like these really long paragraph-long descriptors of like this guy coming and destroying everything and standing before you and demanding that you genuflect. And the only gameplay was, do you genuflect or not genuflect? And spoiler, genuflecting was always the wrong answer, so he'd always like just kill you or whatever. And it was more of a graphic novel or one of those like the novel games. Where you're like kind of playing through like a novel, and like I don't even remember the outcome if I played all the way through, because it did that thing where it deliberately like dragged on for longer and longer. But it was just funny because genuflect was always the wrong option. You just like it was really funny. So somewhere out there, somebody designed a Flash game around my second favorite word in the English language, genuflect.
Little did we know. They rolled that right into Age of Sigmar, when kneeling was always the wrong option when you're playing Tomb Kings.
That's right. You never kneel. Yeah, if you bend the knee, you lose the
Never
game.
knew.
Yeah, if you bend the knee, you lose the game.
Exactly.
You never genuflect. This is this is I think this is knowledge you need to know. Never genuflect. You just don't do
Never.
it. So you want to talk AOA tonight? We talked a little bit about it with Vince. Like we kind of like just as a transitional topic into going back to Realm Artifacts, and he was like Vince unleashed when it comes to talking about artifacts. Like the amount he dislikes the way the route artifacts went is that's Vince in rare form. I don't usually see him get fired up about stuff, but
I mean, I don't disagree, right? Like, I don't know that I'm quite as passionate as Vince is about it because I'm okay with making up my own ideas for it.
mm-hmm.
But when the option is more narrative or less narrative, I'm always going to be in favor of more narrative, especially when the narrative is in match play.
Mm-hmm.
So we've removed a lot of the narrative, a lot of the interesting choices, a lot of the interesting modeling decisions, and we've reduced it down to 3, which, you know, as far as balance is concerned, is probably a better decision. But I, for one, was a fan way back in 8th edition. You don't remember this, probably, but back in 8th edition, they actually had a table where you would roll for terrain, and every single piece of terrain was listed. And so when you rolled on the table, you wouldn't roll for a wood. You would roll for a specific type of wood. You would roll for a river. You would roll for a chapel. It was kind of based on the idea of what the terrain kits were, but then it added a bunch of other ideas. So,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, the thing is like in gaming, and I understand this. I've actually not this next week because I think Heywoah's going to join me this next week for Rantcast. Yes, I'm going to go. I'm still going to try to manage a Rantcast after all this is said and done. I think Heywoah and I are going to talk about the GHB. Up to him. I want him to keep all of his best ideas for his own show, and I want him to like get that out there first on his own show before we talk because we have you know, like you're supposed to like bounce ideas, you know, off of a wall.
Oh, yeah.
When Heywoah and I talk, it's a lot of like throwing awesome ideas into a sponge and then like one-upping each other. So I usually try to keep like if you want like a yes anding, like this is how much more awesome the thing could be, like him and I just like rap that way. So I try to let him like do his show first because he's got the polish and the thing, and then from there we can like meander through some cool thoughts. So we'll see where that falls. That's what I'm hoping for. But then after that, I'm going to have Tyler Emerson and Brendan Melnick on the following week, and we're going to talk about like elite stats in the platonic form of AOS. Platonic meaning as in like Plato, as in like the theoretical like sort of almost a default setting would be the easiest way to describe it. Right. So what
Right.
does a default setting Age of Sigmar look like? Is there one? And this is kind of like in the opposite direction of that, where you know we want those layers, right? Where you have that like the other layers you can add on top, like okay, table rules, boom. Table rules have different terrain. Ooh, okay, boom, we're gonna add that on top, and just adding these layers, you know, this is a feature, not a bug. This is the way the system's supposed to make, and it's so admirable that the TMR crew seem to be kind of on the same page with this, where it's like add more like put all the layers on it. Like this is that like 16 layer Wisconsin bar or whatever the heck it is, where it's just got all of the crap in it.
More taps is always better than less taps. I tell you what.
but what like I keep thinking about is like as a game. I'm not even talking about like competitive, balanced, yada yada yada. From just a pure game standpoint. Yep. One thing I have learned from a lifetime of playing games is people fucking love tables. They love tables. They love tables in D&D for loot. They love tables for randomizing enemies. People love tables. And I think AOA, to transition into this topic, is like it's kind of like the tables thing that becomes a thing in the game, and I think that's really cool.
Absolutely. Just imagine, right, if you had a website or an app, it just allowed you to click a button and it rolled on every table and gave you one result. And there you go. There's a custom built character for whatever faction, right? Do you like this character? Yes or no? Or do you want to re-roll? Imagine taking that character and building an army around it because you're like, oh, I like this. This is cool. This monster has fly. This monster has this jaw attack. What does this monster look like, right? How can I represent this monster on the tabletop? And to very, as somebody who loves converting, that is such an amazing mental exercise, right? I have this KO Spider Rider that I've made, but now I'm looking at my Scourge Privateers being like, all right, so how am I going to make a monster for my Scourge Privateers?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try and get that like sweet boat off of the back of the new Son of Behemoth release from somebody who's assembled it as a different option and try and have that be towed through because my narrative is that he doesn't have his boat anymore. He uses Stormcast Vanguard chargers and etc. to ambush from the ether. Is that what my narrative is going to be? And I think the thing is when you're able to personalize even just one character, right? You're allowed to really sell the concept of the army on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love, I went to art school, so what I love is when you look at something, you're like, oh, that's gorgeous, that's beautiful, that's a really cool idea that you put on there. But then somebody explains it to you, and then you appreciate it more because the explanation enhances your understanding of what's going on, right? And what AOA has given us is a framework that is a universal language to be able to explain to somebody who has no idea, this is what it represents and this is how it works in my head. Mm-hmm. Right? Again, it's about adding common language, which to me is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, adding common language. This is like the thing where like realm artifacts. Okay, there was like 100 of them. I'm using an arbitrary value. A lot. We only really needed to understand 10 of them. They all became part of the common parlance. You knew I could name all 10 of the 10 to be generous. Ignax's Scales, Thermal Rider Cloak, like Sword of Japan or Sword of Judgment by its lame name. You name them all. Everyone who's played Age of Sigmar for an amount of time goes, "Yep, got it. Know what all those things do." I actually foresee AOA going that route. I understand it's a bunch of tables and stuff, but you're going to know that, like, this is the Meat Mountain hero, and, like, they're going to call it, oh, I've got a Meat Mountain in my army, or whatever the heck the archetypal version of that is, because there's going to be a best-case scenario in many of these build types that is the most efficient for the points. Those are going to become common parlance. Like, they're going to become part of our understanding, if it gets picked up by the match play scene. I think right now the early read is no. But I remember that early read of Realm Artifacts and Realm Rules 2 being no until Games Workshop said, we meant this stuff to be played and matched. If you remember that, they said, no, we mean for you to play with it. Real quick, we got some more donations coming in. There we go. All right, $10 from Dave K says, Sylvaneth plus Beastman 2021 with our powers combined. Maybe we can get good enough to one day need a nerf. Yeah, maybe. All right. Warp Fiend Amy donates $5. Thank you so much, Amy. Sean donating $5 says, smashing goals. Can't wait to see how you go. I like a little slant rhyme in there. I love that. $10 from Benji. $10 from Noops. Hey Noops, how's it going? Noops always commenting on my YouTube videos, so that's really cool. And then Jacob Berry, $5 from the Berry Man.
I feel like I need to have him fill out the comment with some kind of drink that he's drinking tonight, or some kind of drink that will make him fall asleep under a table. One of those two things.
Yeah, there you go.
I have to highlight something that was in the chat. I don't know if you saw it or not. Vince.
I summoned Vince. I summoned Vince. Okay.
And he literally wrote a game for you in the last 45 minutes.
Perfect.
I'm super curious.
Perfect.
What this game
we have to show this on stream. I'll bust it out here real quick as I catch up on.
Sounds great.
On what Chat Gang's doing here. Ranty's in the green room.
Vince is awesome.
Oh yeah, he's Warhammer Dad. Muppets Evolved is
Grind plus Clip Soda.
Who wrote it? Vince, you're the best. You are the king. A gift to us all. And Vince sent me a gift. Thanks for flagging me in, Frank. Painting up Foster. What's AOA? AOA is Anvil of Apotheosis. Sometimes shortened to anvil, sometimes AOA. I've been saying AOA. It rolls. It feels like it rolls off the tongue, even though it's technically like 3 syllables, and anvil is only 2. Like AOA is like it's like a expression. It feels. It's got a good mouth feel to it, like a wine. It's proper mouth feel. Grind plus club soda equals all Jacob Berry needs. Thanks, Tomb King. Make your own customable characters. Okay, yeah, all right. I'm gonna check my email real quick. Pull
All
this
right,
up
cool,
here.
cool.
And I kind of cut you off to read some donations. You have a point on AOS spitballing off of what I just said?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk for a little bit to give you a moment to read this email, so you can take some time to ignore me and absorb some information. So the thing that I really love about the Anvil of Apotheosis is that it really gives this common parlance. The more common language that we have really enables us to understand at the table what's going on and what people want to play, what kind of game they're looking for, whatever, right? The better off that we have. And where Vince is talking about, we've got these realm artifacts and we've got all these choices that we can make. And we've reduced it down to 3. From a match play perspective, I definitely can see that being something that theoretically does balance better. But every little piece of lore for me is a jumping off point for somebody to be able to really explore and deep dive and figure out what's going on. I mean, like, just look at Vince's Whirlwind's Edge army, right? For taking a piece of lore and really just going to town exploring that idea. I mean, it's one of those things where you look at it and Vince has an explanation of just like, look, these are all boilers. It's kind of the steam power. This is the idea that I have in my head, right? And you see this board, aircraft carrier, everything. It's just super sweet and super amazing. And even one thing from the realm artifacts contributed to that idea. How much better is that to have 8 things to choose from than 1 for that realm? And that's what I truly love. And we get down to, as you're mentioning, right, the thermal rider cloak, right?
Right.
Vince used that idea to make an amazing conversion for his army. Now it's gone.
Imagine
right?
building an entire army based on a cool concept, a jumping off point, as it were.
I mean, that's what I did with my Spider Riders back in 8th edition, so I absolutely, completely agree. It's something worth imagining and worth doing. But at the same time, if you're looking to use it in the match play environment and having that taken away, I understand the frustration. But I'm telling you, Vince, just talk to your friends and be like, look, I've got this thing. It was published. Go have fun with it, right? It's awesome to be able to walk up to the table and not have a conversation and be able to play that game. Anybody who looks at that conversion and tells you, I don't want to play that because the rules aren't quite current, let's just have some fun and do an amazing game, right? And build in that narrative, right? If you want to add points to it, whatever, right? Have a discussion, enjoy that game. And that discussion itself is where it allows you as the player to share your passion with the other player. Again, it's about this social contract, right? And you were talking on one of your episodes, Meth, about the idea where it might be too scary for someone to be like, I need to have a conversation with you because I feel like you're having a hard time. Let's go and sit down and have some coffee, right? And that might be threatening. And people might be like, well, I'm not sure, right? I don't really need to talk to somebody. I'm okay, right? Mm-hmm. But if the other option is, I'm going to go and play a game, right? Most people will take that game over the conversation. And, the huge little dirty white lie is that every game that you play should be a conversation between 2 passionate hobbyists about the hobby that they love. If you can work on other stuff going on in your life at the same time, more power to you, right? And being able to go down and I'm sorry, Vince, that you lost the thermal rider cloak. It sucks. You made an awesome conversion, right? But you walk up to the table and you're like, look, I made this conversion for this magic item that used to exist. Can I play that, right? Like, is this something you're cool with me working with or putting on the table, right? You're immediately opening you up to another person to allow you to enjoy your army. Mm-hmm. to allow you to enjoy the experience with you. And maybe they want to be like, all right, great, I'm going to pick something, the old realm artifacts. I'm just going to add it to one of my characters. That way it'll be even. We'll have a great time. It'll be fun. Right? These armies, these games that we play are really just a vehicle to be able to spend time with another passionate hobbyist doing something that you love.
Right.
So, go ahead and do it. Like Anvil of Apotheosis is exactly the same thing, right? Yes, it might be overpowered. I don't care. If you want it's overpowered, great. Have a conversation about it. Be like, oh, well, this is something you don't want to play with next time. Great. Let's set a next time to play. Then I will change my rules. I will change my character, right? And that's the beauty of Anvil of Apotheosis, because
it's a continuous dialogue. The dialogue continues.
Yeah. But if you take a Star Drake, and the Star Drake just rips apart their army, right? There's nothing they can do. Their army relies on having that one figure that's in the middle of that unit, giving that buff to the rest of the unit, but the Star Drake can literally just walk in, pump it out of the unit, and oh crap, it's gone, right? If you're playing with Anvil of Apotheosis, all right, well, I'm not going to use that power the next game. I'm going to put those points into something else that doesn't take away from your enjoyment of the game. I'm still going to use the same model. I can actually change my model's rules to make a better game for this relationship that we're developing, this narrative that we're developing. All right, I'm going to say that, you shot a cannon, you hit him in the mouth, and all of a sudden he can't swallow, great? I'm going to give him some other rules instead. Like, great. It allows you to, on the fly, adjust rules to be able to make a better game. And how awesome is that?
Yeah. Right on. Just a real quick, Nuke Doctor, thank you so much for that follow there. Saying, good evening, folks. I just got back from some outdoor gaming, and it's kind of like a real sport when it's 90 degrees out. Yeah, it's like an endurance. This is the Wargamer's equivalent of like standing under the water fountain, except it's just the sun. I finally added a Discord command, so Incantabot will link you to that. You can go ahead and like take a look at the Muppets Evolved RPG not RPG game that Vince just made for us in 45 minutes, and I'll of course be going over that just real quick. Thanks for filling the time, by the way. Chaos Wargaming. I don't have to ask about endless spells. I don't have to ask about realm spells. I don't have to ask about realm effects. It's just in the match play rules. AOA should be in match play. And then Sajil says you can make your own hero with thermal riding cloak. Just saying. Yeah, you can. Like, that's the thing, is like I really feel that they pulled out artifacts and they gave you AOA kind of in place of that. I think that was like the design direction. Whether that was like fully intended or 100% realized, I really think that someone had that idea. That they're like, well, and it was Sam actually, right? Sam, it was Anvil is Sam's brainchild. Ben Johnson.
Oh, absolutely.
Tweet. Yeah, so Anvil's, I think it's cool. And then Sajil is like, I'm glad AOS isn't match play personally. Well, it exists in that weird fuzzy place, right? It basically says you can use this in match play with permission, which in an LGS sense says I'm probably going to make my AOA guy and hope and go, hey, can I use this? And you're going to say no. I'm going, okay, and then I'm just going to go to the next person and be like, hey, can I use this? Or I'll be like, fine, then I don't use it because I'm an adult and I can like choose the games I play and not be a D-bag about it. On the other side of things, it's go ahead.
I'm just going to give a really, really explosive comment here, right? And my explosive comment is just that match play is not the same for everybody, right? You can play your own version of match play.
No.
Because as they say, you take the rules you want, you don't take the rules that you don't want. We don't need to have some standard of match play.
No, you're blowing my mind right now.
All right, I don't like PLA. Great, I don't want to do realm rules. Right? That's the conversation. That's the social contract where you're like, look, all I really want is I love this tactic versus this tactic. Great. Do you want to pick out my army too? Great. We'll have a great time. I'm totally up for that. We'll just have fun and we'll play match play. Match play isn't one thing. Match play is how many thousands of different interactions.
Variants.
And if you play in Australia, it's going to be a different game than the US, than the UK, than Canada, than South America. Anywhere, it's going to play differently.
this is why I want that platonic AOS discussion. I think this is a valuable discussion to have. Like, what does platonic AOS look like? Is there a platonic AOS? Is there a default setting? Because you're not what you just said. You don't mean that I like went to a tournament that was a match play tournament with points, and I went to several of them in a calendar year, and one of them I played with like the Beasts of Gur for like an entire day, and then the next day I didn't. Or that I went to a tournament that said, hey, here are realm rules that we're using, and they're all set throughout the whole, like, every round. Or, like, we're not using realm rules. And I went in an entire year of tournaments. I went to ones that all had different applications of even the match play rules. No! Rabble, like, my mind is blown. I can't take it. Like, I like what you're saying. I think there is merit in debate on either side of the argument. I really do. Like I love hearing people's thoughts.
Absolutely.
I'm not here to tell you like what I think you should think. I like telling you what I think and then kind of telling you maybe how you should think about stuff, but not what to think. Like what to think is on y'all. I like that you just told everyone what to think though. So like get wrecked.
Well,
no.
But the thing is, right? I told everybody what to think, but I didn't tell them how to think.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell them that their thought was wrong.
Right.
Right? Like,
yeah.
I'm just saying, it's about the social contract, right?
Yeah.
It's about the game itself. Every game is a social contract. If you're not playing for the social contract for that game, not really playing to make a better community and to make a good time for that 2 hours, right?
I
mean,
yeah. No, I was super invested. I was still on TGA back in the day. I think you can see my account there. It's got a Necromancer. When Realm Artifacts came out, I was in the phase of like talking more than playing, and then like I started playing more than talking, and like it's for the better. Not against you. Like some of us live on literal islands and we can't get in our like a game a week, 3 games a week. Like like legit. And that wasn't a shot at TK.
Mm-hmm.
I consider myself to live on an island right now. I live in an hour away from my closest friends, and I'm not.
Oh, that was a deep cut.
Yeah, but no. Like when Realm Artifacts and Realm Rules first came out, I remember engaging in that debate whether they should be in Age of Sigmar or not, and I just I argued one. I'm not even gonna tell you what stance I took in the debate, but the fact that I took one, I think was wrong. Because that implied that there was a correct way and an incorrect way. And I am much wiser now in like 2 years, and then we have like the lost year of tournament play. I started GHB 2017, so and then now we're on like kind of this lost year of AOS, and it's like it's weird that I thought I was so bold as to say there was a correct way and an incorrect way to play Age of Sigmar, even within the matched play like sort of framework. Whereas, like, we want to play with rules. It's just like, which rules? And when you have this game that's added layers on top of layers, there's a worthiness there that extends in 3 dimensions. It's not binary. And I think
one of the things. Sorry.
No, you're good. So, Ziggy, best way to make a donation, Hobby Bear's got you there. Some people want to try to create a standardized tourney format. Living on an island used to be me, literally, LOL. I get the standardized tournament format. Actually, like, I don't mind what Rob's doing with, like, the Super Series. That's a super specified type of game. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I'm as fine with that existing as I'm fine with people playing Anvil of Apotheosis. I'm not fine with people saying there is a correct way and an incorrect play. You know what's mind-blowing is you can go to a tournament, okay? And it doesn't need to be a Neo event. I'm about to blow your minds, okay?
Ooh.
You can go to, like, a Midwest Meltdown, and you can, like, bring a story that you have written for your army, and you can put it on a plaque and set it right next to your army. Did you...
No, I've done that.
Did you know you could do that? Like, or when you walk up to the table and you're about to play a game and, like, you have the rules within the, like, the TO pack that you're all following, you can still be like, so I brought this army today because, like, it's my favorite, and here's my story about the army. You can do that! It's outrageous. I know that
Absolutely.
this like mutually exclusive. They put 3 categories, so like you're only ever well. Okay, open play doesn't exist, but there's 2 categories.
Open play totally makes sense. I think open play makes sense, but yeah, I would completely agree though.
I
Right?
didn't say
Super
it makes.
series, awesome.
It might make tons of sense. I said it doesn't exist. Like I don't.
Oh,
The last time I played it.
well,
Oh,
we
you
could have a
play
whole
open.
conversation about
You
that.
play open play with your friends when they're learning the game of Age of Sigmar and children. Um, maybe not. I say
But
you,
you also,
but
I think you also play
generally,
open play by yourself.
you play open play by yourself. You play by yourself, yeah.
You play open play by yourself. When you set up your army in a beautiful shot because you just want to play with
Oh,
your
this
toys,
take. I've heard this take.
it's
Yeah.
open play.
Yeah. Okay. No,
Yeah, I know. I told you this take.
if you change if you change the definition of open play,
So,
there's
that's literally one of the examples that Pete gave when he talked about open play. The original podcast where he talked about
but
this is
that's
why we came up with the 3 ways to play. He talks about a player at Warhammer World where this is what he does. He just sets up the army, and then there's another player on the other side of the table, and then he's done. He's like, okay, great. I could just sit here for like the next 3 hours and just enjoy how beautiful these set up armies are. If we play a game, okay, great, but I could just sit and drink beer and appreciate how beautiful this is.
Yeah.
And that was literally his example of open play.
yeah.
Right. So, and open play is also just, I don't even want to build a narrative. I don't want to spend time into thinking about why this is going on. I literally just want to throw models down on the table. You throw models down on the table. Let's have some fun. Or, 5, 6, 7, 18, 94 people playing at once, right? Who cares? Just have fun, having a great time, right? But just to kind of put a point on it, right? Like, Rob's doing the Super Series. Great, right? Same thing where we have BCP, right? This is the way they want games to be played. Great. Same thing with Neos, where it's like, well, this is kind of the way that we want people to play the game. This is all amazing.
You know what's awesome is you can
My
go to
point
all of
is
those different events. You can just do that. Like
Yeah.
you get that
Yep.
as a player. Yeah, go on. Warhammer's for everyone.
Exactly.
Get wrecked.
My point is not that having all these different ideas are bad. My point is that having only one of those ideas and every other idea is wrong, that's where the bad comes in. It's where
Correct.
you tell me
Correct.
how my contract is supposed to play out, right?
Correct.
And that's why I always say everything with the game is about the social contract, right? The game is about the relationship that you are building with the player on the other side of the table. Who cares about anything else in the world? Who cares if you play by the rules, whatever? If that's not what you enjoy, right? I can't imagine a game where you didn't use any of the rules. But as I just said, there's a guy who literally doesn't use the rules, sets up the armies, and has a great time. I wouldn't enjoy that very much, but some people do, and that's a conversation that you have with the other player, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, and that's all I'm saying is just have that conversation. Find out what kind of game that you want to play. When you go to a tournament, they already have it spelled out for you. This is the game that we're playing. It's great. You don't have to have that conversation, and you can play a game against another player and enjoy just spending time, not having to worry about it for 2 hours.
Right on.
And that's awesome.
Yeah, right on, right on. I've got a couple of comments here. Touch of Oblivion says, right as it moves off, thank you, Sajil. Where was it? Here we go. That's why I'm hyped for the Crusade system in 40k now. I love the idea of a narrative army that grows. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's that stuff's cool. I remember, a lot of that stuff. I remember doing that organically especially when I was a kid, like building an army very gradually. So we were just kind of making up ways to play that was fair. So like my friend Sam had a lot more like high elves than I had undead, and so we just made up like essentially like different scenarios where like I kept getting to bring back my undead units that exist just like on the table, and it was just about like me completing the objective before 5 rounds or whatever. So like we would often do like this caravan mission where where the high elves are bringing this caravan across, and we used a GI Joe truck for the caravan. Where he was taking the GI Joe truck across the table, and I just had to assault, and I could like bring back my models like basically on the table and fight him, and I just had to try to like stop him before he got it to the board edge or 5 rounds were up or whatever. Another quick comment. Sorry. nice little side conversations going on. I love seeing that. William says, I used to play open play for years. Each week you'd bring a new unit, no points, no army restrictions. If someone brought something too powerful, you just brought something to counter it next game. I like that. Little self-policing. I dig it.
I mean, when I first started playing, we didn't even use the army books, right? We used the profiles in the back, way back in 5th edition. And, I went and bought a single Spider Rider figure because it was a different animal, right? And then I would buy a single Warhawk Rider. And you would just field them on the table because these are cool models that I bought, so why wouldn't I have fun? Right? And we didn't worry about building an army. We didn't worry about points. We worried about playing with our toys. And eventually I was like, you know what? I actually really like when the army looks like an army. And then I started building, Archaon and his Chaos Knights and his Marauders and all this kind of stuff, right? That's how you enjoy the game as you move forward, and people enjoy it differently.
Right. Yeah. I mean that's important to state, is that's your way of enjoying it. Other people really do enjoy that nail biting, like 2 grinders heavyweight bout of trading blows and trying to win the game. Like, some people really do enjoy that way. And it's no better to harsh on them than it is a Neo player, by the way.
No.
I don't dig that. I think of it like sometimes football. Some stadiums are closed stadiums, they're domes, and some are open. Like the Superior team over here, the Green Bay Packers, open, in the elements. You're never I love, if my home team was not a outdoor team, I might be of the mind that I want to see gladiators fight in perfect conditions. But I'm actually no. I'm more interested in the gladiator that beats your ass in the snow. I want to see I want to see the adaptation of the war metaphor that is football, because that's all it is they're think about the gridiron, the trenches, all these euphemism. Real quick, I've got a couple more donations here. Anton Malm says, hey, just got into Warhammer and loving it so much. Great to see you guys doing this. We'll be watching while painting. My Gloomspike gets, hell yeah, Gloomspike gets one of the best looking armies in the entire game. Andrew L says, $7 for the Nurgle prize. Have you been ostracized because you are sick? Nurgle welcomes you with open arms. Be like Nurgle and open your arms to people struggling with mental health. There you go. Philosopher X. Ooh. I wonder what the X stands for. This will be up as a podcast, right? Eventually. I'm probably going to break it down into their 2-hour blocks and put it up separate from Rantcast as just a special that you can slowly work your way through down after the fact. If I had editing powers, I would probably edit it down to a best of the thing, and it would be a 2-hour show in totality. But I don't have that power. And then Anon says Black Lives Matter. 100%. I come from a biracial family. Before I was doing this, I did a little quiet charity over on Twitter, charity drive for that. Really appreciative to this community. Your capacity to give and care continues to astonish me. So thank you very much for that. Andrew yells.
So,
sorry, I had a fun times picking random narrative battle plan. Oh, this is just a conversation. What's up?
And that's to kind of get back to AOA a little bit. That's what I really enjoy about the way that he's built in this narrative growth for your monster, for your character. Because if I remember correctly, you play a narrative battle and then you roll a D3, and you get to add that many DP to your character. So your character actually can go from, it's just literal guy who's walking around doing nothing, unarmed strike, whatever you want to, and then becomes this absolutely epic character. So, if you use the DP where they are, you can start out with a 4-point character, right? A Dwarden. 40 points, for whatever army list you want to build. Then you add D3, right? So up to 10 to 30 points that you get to add to that character. And then as you play along, you can build on that narrative and then build that actual character, right? So it's almost this role-playing experience. Exactly. This role-playing experience has been added to the game.
Piggybacking off that a little bit, Soulbound, huge hit in my book. It is.
Absolutely.
I think it came. There were certainly some challenges, I think, with rolling it out mid-COVID, but it has been the salve my wounded body has needed. And what was the absolute first thing the vast majority of the community who got into Soulbound did? What? Like, this is maybe a rhetorical question, but would you care to answer? What was the first thing that Soulbound did?
I'm a bit blown away because we just got a $250 donation here, and I believe it's over 3,500. So, we're $32 short. I think I can probably do that $32. Frank was shouting it out in the chat, so I wanted to make sure that was highlighted.
Okay, yeah. So Ziggy1982 donates $250. Holy crap. Thank you so much for that donation there, Ziggy. Great job organizing this. Mental health is so important and should have awareness raised about it just as much as physical health. 100%, that's what this is all about. And thank you so much. That pushes us closing in on the entire Soulbound team. Speaking of Soulbound, like having to play crowdsourced lists. That is, to explain what this incentive is, Chuck Moore, Heywoah, Vince Tom, and myself will have a crowdsourcing of like what army and list we will build. We'll do an episode of probably Rantcast. I think me and Brendan will go. The whole point is that like Chat Gang makes the list that each one of us respectively plays at a tournament we're all collectively going to. And I'd imagine we're going to have a little bit of like a rant off amongst ourselves to see who takes their like crowdsourced list the furthest. I can only see it getting pretty gamey between that crew. So that's what that is. Right now I'm on the hook for having to do that by myself. $32 more and the whole Soulbound crew will do that. And that ties actually right back into what I was talking about. The first thing everyone did in Soulbound was make them their character they were playing in Soulbound for the game of Age of Sigmar. It's the first thing everybody did.
Absolutely.
And what is
I mean, not me, but yeah.
What is Anvil? Well, not you, but what is Anvil of Apotheosis but that?
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, exactly, right? Like, it's this transitional supplement that really allows you to say, oh, I have this sweet RP character. I'd love to be able to play him on the tabletop. Great. Here you go, right?
Yeah. I think
it's awesome.
I think cool. Brendan should just be part of that anyway. like we didn't put you the stipulation, but if you read the fine print, Brendan was actually included in where you made it for me. So he's got to play Skaven now. For $7K, I'll even buy Skaven. I don't know if you know this, but Brendan despises Skaven. He hates them a lot. Crane Duelista, or like Crane Duelist, perhaps. Thank you for this marathon. Awesome. Donating $5. Thank you for the donation so much. All right.
Yeah.
More than I hate sleeves. He hates Skaven more than he hates sleeves.
But is it more that you hate Pepsi milk? That's the real question we got here.
He doesn't know if he hates Pepsi milk. He doesn't know that yet.
I'm just putting it out there.
Has he supped from the chalice of Pepsi milk, which I will be drinking next charity block coming up in about half an hour? I was supposed to shave my goatee, but Lulu disappeared here, and she has my clippers packed away, so I might have to do that off stream. Here we go. I can always do that later too. When it's been pretty hypey. We've been talking. I can always do that later, I suppose. That was a stretch goal. I hate Pepsi, and milk hates me. Andrew yells, "You can use my Skaven army." I love this. I don't
know. I kind of like the idea, the masochism of Brendan having to put his money for models that he hates.
Oh, yeah, that's even better. The Schadenfreude of that.
Long-term.
Yeah, the Schadenfreude
goal we got.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
And wearing arms and leg sleeves. Yeah, man, you guys
go big or go home.
Yeah, sleeves only, no middle part. So Anvil Apotheosis. I'm a pseudo neutral arbiter in that I think that like I'm very for it. I love it. I think that if in match play it becomes a known commodity, just like Realm Artifacts, because all the Johnnies out there like me, we've already done it actually. We're just we'll have the theory crafted, we'll have the theory crafted utility toolbox thing for every army in the entire game of Age of Sigmar. We will. It's what we do. We spend a lot more time doing this than playing games. Not as a knock. There's like I can theory craft 100 AOA characters in the time it would take me to play a game of Age of Sigmar. So that's just a practicality
Absolutely.
of it. So the Johnnies out there will all we'll all theory craft them, and I suspect that a community as witty as we are with things like slang like the Bone Daddies and Spelldoms and incorporating language from like Magic the Gathering, like talking about beatdown and control, like things like that, turtling. Talking about Alpha Strike has a name. There was a point in time when Alpha Strike wasn't what it was called. Like we'll develop that language. We'll know what those commodities are. I see that as an inevitability. Yeah, rein in some stuff. Cool. The TO can do that in the pack. We can wait for an FAQ for match play. And on a micro scale, you can just have a dialogue.
Yeah, exactly. And so to just kind of use the discussion that Rob and Vince had, right, where Rob is like, "Oh no, we don't really need realm artifacts because they make the better best," right? And Vince is like, "No, we do need realm artifacts because they make the worst better," right?
Yeah.
It kind of evens out this middle, right? Why would AOA not do the same thing? If that's what realm artifacts did, right, why would it not be the same conversation? And I have to agree with Vince, right? So I'm writing a Scourge Privateers list, and you've only got 4 units. The ability to add an Anvil of Apotheosis character into Scourge Privateers going to be able to buff that list far greater than, like a Zinch list. We've got all casters, all anything, right? Because the army just won't work quite. I just don't feel like the AOA monster, the AOA character, is really going to able to work quite as well, because so many things in that army do so many things so well. It's not going to have this big gap, right? But something like Scourge Privateers, you've got a huge gap. It's something you could use to fill that and to make that work better.
To say it another way, I think there's a diminishing returns on making the best better. The margin between how the best is and how much better they can get isn't a high ceiling. Like it's not like this. Like you're gonna take it. We're not gonna suddenly have an S+ tier because there's AOA models. Like, oh, you're only S tier if this exists, but then you're S+ if you take the one AOA model. Ziggy says here, man, AOA is great. I'm looking forward to my character giving my Chaos Warriors a 3-up rerollable save, especially as one of my friends plays PE. I mean, but they can do that too. It's a known commodity. They can do that too, and that's the thing. Is
Exactly.
like the Petrifex Elite thing is back to a 3-up rerolling save now with rerollable ones. Like it's not. It's there's a diminishing return to how great an AOA hero is going to make your stuff, and for one, what if Games Workshop fully 100% intended on you playing with AOA? They put it in the narrative section, I know, but we know that formatting isn't a strong suit because look where Paths of Glory is.
Yep.
But what if they stripped out the realm art? This is a what if. This is pure conjecture, pure hypothetical. I don't know the answer, but I would like for people's minds to wander a little bit and just chew on it a bit, like masticate some. What if they took out realm artifacts? What if they busted Petrifex Elite totally deserved 100% down to they busted them down to a rerolling ones in melee and took away their 1-up save or their +1 save because they anticipated this being legal. It was to compensate for the fact that now you could have 2-up save more tech. Right?
Well, here's the thing, right? What makes the top tier armies isn't necessarily how great the War Scrolls individually are. It's the synergy between the War Scrolls that really makes it work so well, right? It's the ability to give that 3+ rulable save. It's the ability to do that, right? And AOA gives bottom armies and fat middle armies the ability to add some synergy. It's never going to be as good as the top tier because it doesn't have all the keywords, right? It doesn't have the ability to add Skyfarer to the KO character, right? People look at that and say, I can't do everything that I want to, but what if that's one of the design choices they made to make sure it isn't too much of a synergy, right? But if that's intentionally designed to make sure it doesn't overpower everything else in the game.
Right, right. What Frank says is correct, Vanille. They can use it because a quality of being an keyword Ossiarch Bone Reaper hero, or actually an Ossiarch Bone Reaper unit, sorry, an Ossiarch Bone Reaper unit with a command ability uses RDP instead of command points. So like in the it gets around to it working because you make the thing and then you make the thing your hero and it is an Ossiarch Bone Reaper hero, character with a command ability and then it can thus use it. There would have been some weird stuff where like say if you did allow allies in this army, if you brought in an ally it could never use command points.
Yep.
Like you would have command points but you can't like spend them. So I suppose you might. Anyway, only if it's a War Scroll ability or part of the OBR Legion's ability. But yes, yeah, thanks, Gotrek. Gotrek did it. Gotrek did what? Soulbound Gang is cursed. What? What is going on here? An Ossiarch Bone Reaper unit. Blah, 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 only if the War Scroll.
Based
They put mercenaries in the narrative section last year.
$3,500.
Yeah, Matt Williams says they put mercenaries in the narrative section last year, but you could use them in match play. No difference in my opinion. Well, I think the big thing comes down to is they need to have a known commodity that like codifies this for people. Like there needs to be an AOA aside to the War Scroll Builder, and it needs to be in the Azir app. That needs to happen because just like policing lists and stuff like that, like the logistics of that, especially in a tournament sense. It would be a huge nightmare. Everyone's like little snowflake AOA unit. How do you verify that? Unless you have something that says this.
Well, do you want me to blow your mind for a second?
Okay, go ahead. Blow my mind. What's up?
So Vince and Tom and everybody have been going on for forever about this idea of a gold faction, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're adding 2 gold units to the game. We're adding AOA. Right? That's a gold unit right there. It's a unit you can build out of all these options to add to any army in the game. And we're adding Sons of Behemoth, which we've been told is going to be able to be added to any army in the game, right? You take in Sons of Behemoth, and then you take in AOA, and this whole meta has shifted so far from one place to another because, again, Tzeentch isn't really going to benefit from having Sons of Behemoth in it. Tzeentch isn't really going to benefit from having AOA in it. You add in both of those options, and those bottom tier armies are going to have some powerful, super heavy hitters, resilient, and a tailored unit that is going to fill gaps in their army. Right? Like what we have actually done here, the GHB has exploded one part of the meta, and Sons of Behemoth is going to go and explode the second part.
Well, I mean, there is a separate argument. Well, should AOA fix the gaps in your battle tome, right? That is an entirely different debate. That's a hypothetical argument, a red herring, if you will. The reality we exist in right now, yes, if everything was different, everything would be different. You are correct. But it is not different. The state we exist in right now is AOA. When all the battle tomes get updated later on, the kind of the fallacy, like not the fallacy, but a logical error I kind of prescribe to. Vince convinced me of this earlier on. Like, if everything was better, then everything would be better. Sure, whatever. Like, if we live in that reality later, then AOA goes away again. I don't think it does. I think it changes. But fine. But the reality of it is now that you can buoy some of these subpar factions with this. You can do that. And that's before we even talk about the narrative implications or the hobby aspects. You know, the 2 other parts of the game that are super important. Let alone the community of the continuous debate, the Johnny toolboxing with it, having discussions, which is a community thing. Like this, just I know I shouldn't have been surprised, that there was some arguing. I shouldn't have been surprised because it's the internet, and I don't think that there's like tons of malice on either side of the debate, but it did get like it got a little hyphy in some of these discussions that I've seen like on Facebook about it. I'm like, this is very visceral debate for something that doesn't require that. Like, you're either for it or you're not, or you're a galaxy brain and you're like, you don't need to be for it or against it. You can be like, this is the one place where that's actually an acceptable response of of like stepping back and going, the game is played in 3 dimensions in several different ways, and this is good in these ways and bad in those ways, and I'm okay with it. I think there's a reality where this is adopted by match play. I don't think the UK will pick it up at all initially. They might, because they didn't want to pick up Realm Artifacts initially either from a lot of the stuff, because the idea of a standardized pack for all of our tournaments to use, okay, but that'll never happen. Come on, guys. Real quick, got a couple donations. Gottschrick Gunnarsson pushed us over the previous milestone, so now all of everybody from the best damn Soulbound show, TM, will be playing a crowdsourced list. This should probably happen sometime in 2021 when tournaments are back. We'll all pick a tournament we can all make. We'll play the crowdsourced list. We'll do a show about what the crowdsourced list should be. Chat gang, you will make those lists. Maybe since Vince and Tom are involved, we'll do it over on... I'll see if I can't talk him into doing it over on Warhammer Weekly, even though it's a little bit self-aggrandizing, I suppose. But just so it's got the broader spectrum. I don't know. We'll figure out the logistics, but it's happening. It's going to happen. And then Ungor Raider donates $25 saying, great work, buddy. You know what, Ungor, thank you. Thank you for your donation. Great work there. And then Homish22, thank you so much for the Twitch Prime. I think Chaos pulled me to a place where I'm happy with caveats, the form to make it easy to vet, etc. Yeah, like Chaos marks and stuff. Like, we have these granular differences in the game already. It's just we have a system for spotting them easily and readily. And that's what I think needs to happen with AOA to be more broadly adopted by the quote-unquote match play side of things. Again, in your local scene and one-on-one, I think that's really easily solved with just a conversation. Come on, guys. What were you saying? Or what would you like to say?
I'm amused by the argument that, should you actually fill gaps in your army list with your character, right? Why does that argument even exist?
Well, it's not
about
a
Lord of Change.
I don't know if I mischaracterized it here. The idea was that it's filling gaps in the battle tome, and that the rules writers of Age of Sigmar should have wrote a better battle tome to begin with, and that if this exists, if AOA exists, then they have no incentive to write a better battle tome the next time, because they have this patchwork that they just pry off the old thing and slap on the new thing. That is the argument to frame it.
But let's not let perfect be the enemy of best. Number one is the first thing I would say, right? And number two is what they have given us is the ability to design our own models. Go ahead.
I love talking to you. You've got as many opinions as me. It's fantastic.
Yes, I do.
Like,
nobody else listens to me.
Well,
come on a show and people have to listen.
Yeah, well, you like the Nagash thing. We did the Nagash for my 5-year thing. I did the only thing I could think of, which was talk about Nagash for 3 hours with you.
Yeah.
And it's like you gotta understand, like, part of that is just me humoring, just wanting to hear, because the thought experiment of conversation is as fascinating to me as, like, the end point of a conversation, right? Like, this notion that I'm going to say the thing and you're going to say the thing and we're going to go back and forth until we get to a conclusion. I'm like, no. If you think of conversation that way, like, you're not having really fun conversations.
Yeah. Exactly. It's about the experience, right? It's about, to put it very bluntly, it's about the social contract of streaming for 2 hours and wanting to extend the conversation. That's what this is about. It's not about that you're right or wrong. It's about the social contract.
Yeah, I like that you brought it back to your main POV, which is the social contract of Age of Sigmar. Now you've extended it to the social contract of podcasting.
Absolutely.
We're a master at work here, folks. Tom McClure, the friendliest human in all of Age of Sigmar, showed up with $30, saying thank you for doing this. Thank you, Tom, for being one of my first opponents at a real tournament in the Midwest, and being him and Mike, two of the coolest guys you could run into, is in the the first real big tournament we went to, because Gen Con was kind of a meh. Me and Heywoah show up, play Tom McClure and Mike, and you can't ask for two. I you can't ask for two better opponents to like indoctrinate you. You know, like if you want to know what Warhammer is, you know, like that matchup
Yep.
there, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. So thank you so much for that. GW shouldn't use the crutch as it's not an efficient build to replace holes on a long-term basis. That said, this is GW. Well, that's the thing is at some point, and this is the thing I still hear people like talk about is like they shouldn't have to release a two week FAQ. I'm like, perhaps, but it's been how many years and you're still surprised by the fact that there is a 2 week FAQ? At some point, it's the asking a zebra to change its stripes thing, right? Like you're like, like who's the shame on at this point? Fool me once, you know, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on them. And you can always advocate for a better, stronger, yada yada yada, more perfect, a best case scenario. You can always advocate for that. You can always send emails to the team and interact with them on Twitter and stuff like that. You can always do that, and you should. You should expect better. You should always expect better from people giving you content. But to be surprised that they do things the same way that they have done it, that's a little. I mean, I feel that's a little disingenuous.
But it also comes down to they're not a game design studio first. They're a miniature design studio first. They have never at any point said that the first purpose of this company is to design a game. First purpose of this company is to design miniatures, right? And so the miniature is king. Design rules to reflect what the miniature tells you. And the thing is, even if you had 1 million game designers, right, and they all came to some consensus as to like this is what's going to happen, right? Imagine the budget of having 1 million game designers all trying to come in agreement on what this rule is supposed to mean and how this affects balance. It's still going to break because there's going to be somebody out there who thinks in a different way than they think, primarily because they're game designers and they have an idea of how the game is supposed to work. They write rules to reflect that. And you have people who aren't game designers or who think in a different way, you're obviously going to find breaks. You're obviously going to find problems, right? Finding problems is not a problem. Refusing to admit that they're problems is the problem. To, again, tie it way back to the very beginning of this episode, right? Everybody's going to have problems. Everybody's going to make mistakes. The problem isn't when somebody makes a mistake. The problem isn't when somebody finds a problem. Problem is when somebody refuses to admit that it's a problem and refuses to try and fix it, right? Instead of looking at them and saying, how dare you have made a mistake, look at them and applaud them for admitting it and for trying to fix it, right? Mm-hmm. And with a game this large, it's never going to be perfect because it's too asymmetric. Because, again, it comes down to they're not trying to design a game to be balanced and perfect. Of course, that's a goal. Trying to design a game to reflect the miniatures.
Well, this comes
and
back
to have
to
it be as
go ahead.
Right? Go ahead.
This goes back to one of the things Vince said, where like if we want that that 53 to 48% swing in the middle, right? Like that's the acceptable threshold of win rates. This game looks a lot different. They jettisoned the cities book from the Game of Age of Sigmar. That whole book is just put in an escape pod and launched at Mars. Like it's just gone. That whole book is gone. Most of the War Clans book jettisoned, gone. Like if they want that to happen, a lot of those older models that you love, the toys you want to play with, they're just like pull the lever, ching, Bond villain drops down the hole, gone. Do you really want that? Mm-hmm. And I'd posit most people actually don't.
Nobody wants that.
It's good to chase it is good to chase that balance though. It is good. That is worthy. And and like I'm all for that. Where was this? I saw like some really cool stuff here in chat. Like I like the Moose Geek's take here. It surely wasn't designed as a crutch. Speaking of AOA, it was designed to let you express your creativity and have a chance to put it on the table. Hobby Bear says you can finally play some of the heroes exactly the way you wanted it. Necromancer on a horse time, baby. Like I don't think it's a bad thing that they've found a way to breathe new life into older things, concepts. The idea of like a Necromancer on a horse. The idea of that vampire accounts where you in what was it 8th edition, you were starting to like modular up your stuff because everything was buying it and everything was that. This is what that looks like when you pay points for everything. I thought the same people who were against this kind of stuff wanted to pay points for sub-factions and pay points for artifacts again. This is what that looks like. That's what AOA is.
Yep.
But it sounds an awful lot like you want to have your cake and eat it too because you find a couple gripes along the way. I don't think that's an acceptable threshold of I don't think that's an acceptable threshold of expectations. It feels a little conflicted.
Well, so looking at it, right, what AOA does is it allows you to go back and be able to use the models that you couldn't use before because you can create different rules for them, right? I hope at some point we'll get a unit builder of some way that allows you to do the same thing, right? I know that sounds crazy, etc., but it is what it is, right? But the brilliance of what Sam has done is not only does it allow you to go back and to reimagine the models that you already own, it allows you to go forward, reimagine what the model that you have can be.
The Soul Reaper.
And that is brilliant.
The Soul Reaper, like I ordered a Soul Reaper from Mini Stomp along with my Warlords edition of 2020, which is super ironic because like Warlord 2020 edition is the one I'm objectively speaking going to play the least on account of the situation. Like you know, whatever. I will have already played fewer games with the new GHB than I did this time last year with the previous GHB. I would have been at Midwest Meltdown this weekend with everybody else, and I would have had all my prep and I would have had all my prep games in and all my grind theory crafting games in, and I'd done all that. I'd have been pushing models and pieces of paper with bases drawn on them against each other to learn. I'd done all that stuff, and then I'd escaped to Milwaukee or Madison for a couple games and tuned up, right? So I ordered it, but I ordered a Soul Reaper with it because one part because AOA and one part because of Soulbound. And I'm like, man, the Soul Reaper is like the coolest model, but I hate its rules. You know what? I'm going to do it better. I'm going to make a melee Mancer who buffs my dudes back to the 3-up they deserve because Petrifex did nothing wrong. Screw your $1,000. Sorry.
Whoa.
No. They deserved it.
Hold on.
They deserved it. They deserved it. I'm sorry. I am in no way financially obligated to state that Petrifex Elite deserved the nerf it got. The exact nerf. It was deserved. I gotta work up to it. Okay. I gotta. Woosah. I will get there. We've got 27 hours. I will get there, stream. I will get there for you because you donated for Mental Health America.
Well, and to kind of circle back again, if you look at AOA and you look at it and you say that, well, it's just a stopgap for this thing that I've decided, right? Mm-hmm. You're saying that I should be able to negate the ability of this because it was designed for one of the 3 ways to play and able to be played in the other one, right? Like, you're adding on gatekeeping rules for why something should be the way it is because I've decided that this is the way it should be, right? Allowing people to have rules to play in match play does not threaten the integrity of the game for somebody who refuses to play with it, right? Mm-hmm. Allowing it to be used in a match play environment is not something that diminishes the skill of the player in match play, diminishes the tactical nuance. It doesn't, right? Like, if you have a thing, it allows you to do a thing, and being able to understand and use that thing in a way that nobody expected is, as far as I'm concerned, one of the coolest things about playing Age of Sigmar, about playing Warhammer, right?
You solve the puzzle. I love solving puzzles. I love having a new problem presented in a game. Because in games, you tend to be in situations you don't foresee in the math hammer side of things. You end up having to make the weird charge with your wizard. Why is my Necromancer having to charge right now? Because it's the only model I have left that's free, and I just need to kill a few skinks, or I just need to go and hope I roll hot against that, that Azeros or whatever, and suddenly my wizard's my go-to combat guy. Like, you gotta be in a position to solve puzzles, and that's where you can find the really cool interactions of the game is when you're forced in a position of incongruency to have to think to make things congruent again. I think that's. I mean, that you can zoom that out to when you find a problem in the game in general. Find it's beautiful. I like that. I enjoy that personally. Now there is
If you look,
go ahead.
if you look at every unit in the game, right, that's established, it's in the battle tomes of like, this is the points, this is the rules, this is what it does, right? It's like a puzzle piece. And that's cool because you figure out how the puzzle piece works, right? Because it's got some rough edges, it's got some indented edges, and like, this is the way it fits into your army list, right? AOA is like a Rubik's Cube that you are allowed to shift those edges, right? And it's just awesome to add in such an amazing, flexible set of rules. It allows you to make a different puzzle every single time you play with it. Like, that's just brilliant and amazing. And I understand where there might be situations where that piece of the puzzle overwhelms the entire puzzle itself, right? And that's definitely a possibility. You can do that in every other part of the game, right? Where a special rule overwhelms the individual unit rules, where the ability of a player overwhelms the rules of an army, right? Where a scenario overwhelms the rules of an army.
Total commitment, yeah.
That's kind of what it does, right? And this just adds another way of exploring and solving that puzzle. And to me, that sounds absolutely amazing.
Ziggy, no, I agree with you there. Ziggy says one important thing to remember: the vast majority of games, as far as I'm aware, aren't tournament games. That's one of the things I've been really kind of trying to like really pin down here. As we talk about a lot of this stuff on the internet, it feels like we try to like kind of argue like a single perspective, which is often the competitive, and by competitive even I mean tournament perspective. And like most people, I love tournaments.
Yeah.
Come to tournaments, seriously. As soon as it's healthy for you to do so.
Oh, absolutely.
Come to tournaments. They're fantastic. Like sign up for a Neo event. Go to like the hardest tournament you can find in your region, whether that be like the Big Nova or LVO or Depticon, or if you got Bobo because you're overseas, or Kanka, whatever it is. Find the biggest baddest tournament. Walk up and punch it in the mouth. Oh no, that's rules for prison. No, go to a tournament. They're fun. They're tons of fun. You're gonna meet a bunch of great people. But unless you're a tournament grinder, you're where every game you play is prepped for a tournament, which is a mentality. Not knocking it, fun way to play. Like unless you're in that mind space, most of your games are just gonna be in a one-on-one case, and that's where again talk to your opponent about AOA. The argument we're even having right now is rather moot. Yeah, except for the social contract. Gabe Usri donates $25. Keep fighting the good fight, fine sir. Thank you so much. I will for 21 hours yet, whatever it is.
So I have a bit of a thought experiment here.
So real quick, I gotta
I'd like to draw out of it. Right? So these are kind of our common parlance.
Real quick. We got $5 left.
Go ahead.
Sorry, we got 5 minutes left. If you're interested in winning the Nurgle block, this is your last 5 minutes to donate. My chat's been doing a really good job of filling people in how to do that. There's a donate link right down below me that'll take you right to Tiltify. Tiltify makes sure that the money never touches my personal accounts. It goes directly to Mental Health America and their I Don't Mind campaign. That's the visibility campaign, essentially. If you want to make real quick, get those donations in. Our next milestone's $4,000. We're at $35.80. So awesome. We broke a milestone during this, so thank you so much for that. But yeah, if you want to be entered for Nurgle, donate those $25 or the $5. If you donate $25 over the course of the whole stream, say you enter just the minimum $5 in 5 different lots, you're entered to win the Ossiarch Bone Reapers. Is there a way to pay other than PayPal? PayPal support has yet to get back to me about the problem I am having. I thought Tiltify had a credit card option in it. I thought it did. You go on with your point now, your thought experiment, while I look into this.
All right. So the thought experiment is, right, points are a common language to be able to write army lists with, right? Most people who play narrative games, most people who play match play games, most people who play open play, I imagine, would still use points as a way of being able to understand how to make a list that seems balanced or seems to be fun, right? Seems to make an army that they can create a narrative around. And a lot of people, I think, are looking at this and going, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe that you added points to this," because it just muddies the water and it questions whether or not it should be a narrative thing or it should be a match play thing or an open play thing. But the thing that just sits in my mind is this didn't have the ability to quantify DP into points. How many people would feel comfortable using it? Right? How many people would actually be able to say, I have this cool thing that I made. Will you play it with me? And here's points for it. Imagine having that conversation with, I made this cool thing. Don't know how many points, especially it's supposed to work. It might be unbalanced. It might be balanced. I don't know. Is that okay? Right? To be able to have that conversation and be like, all right, I made a 20 DP character. I'm going to run it as 200 points. Do you think that sounds fair, right? It gives you a rough estimate of starting the conversation. It gives you a rough idea of what's going to happen, right? And it allows you to also build an army that seems to be fair around it. And so adding in the ability to quantify the DP with points doesn't mean that it has to be included in match play, right? It doesn't mean that you have to include it in your tournament list. It doesn't mean that tournaments have to allow it to be used. That's not what points are for. What points are for is for giving you a common language to start the conversation, to be able to say, this is what I think it works with here. And if it doesn't work, great. Next game, let's figure out how to make it different. What do you think? Do you think that fly should actually be worth 4 DP? Do you think it should be 5? How about 7? How about 8, right? Should I have to triple this? You can add that and you can have that conversation once you have the framework set for what this means. But without adding in that little sentence that says each DP is worth 10 points, what framework do you have to start that conversation, right? And adding that in, it really allows that conversation to happen in something that you both understand and something that you both have an idea of how much value you give for this thing. So go ahead and use it. Go ahead and have fun. And if you want to, make it work for you, right? That's all anything is in this game. That's what you're handed when you're given a battle tome. You look at it, you decide whether or not it's worth the points, whether or not it's something you want to use, and you go for it and try and figure out how it works.
Yeah. You must have a blast on Warhammer Weekly where you've got Vince there to like. Have you been? You haven't been in a little bit. I know Eric was, but you've been on before. Vince must just have fun with you.
Oh, I've been on 3 times. Yeah. Yeah. I have fun with it. Great. I have fun with Tom too.
Fantastic. All right, so we're down to 1 minute left to donate, everybody. As far as the it is just the PayPal thing. It turns out I just kind of looked into it. Yeah, that's. I mean, it's just the most secure way of doing it, and it ensures that I don't break any rules. So I am sorry about that. Hopefully, PayPal takes care of it. I know someone messaged me personally that they were having issues. I gave them 2 new links, and one of the other links seemed to work. So I can get you that link real quick. Here's one of the links. That'll take you direct in, so you don't have to do the other method. And then the other one is naturally the one you've been using before. So these are 2 different links. Try the first one first. Wow. Donations closed for that. It's switch us over to we're on Cubic Shenanigans now. Look at me. I am the podcast host now. So I want to thank you real quick, Paul. Thank you so much from the Mortal Realms podcast for all these takes. I know why the others weren't here. It's because they didn't want to be so thoroughly outshined by you as to not.
I thought they didn't want to take responsibility for my statement.
Is that what it is? Yeah, they didn't want to take responsibility for you. Yeah, that's Mocho Cinco or Mochi. So that's the Corgo spotted. Add that to your unofficial drinking game. So thank you for being with me again. That speech early on was calling it a speech. That was amazing. kind of exactly what this is all about. Yeah, we'll be talking some Muppets Evolve next time with Cubic Shenanigans, and I got a giveaway to get to. I'm gonna bring the boys on in. And again, Paul, thank you so much. Check out TSMR, the Mortal Realm, TSMR, the Mortal Realms. Just check that out. It's awesome. It's Wisco. Let's go. See you around, man.
Awesome. Thanks, Beth.
Yep, later.
Fantastic.